So, in gross anatomy of larynx, we will study the different structural components of larynx, that is generally made up of different types of the cartilage. You know, this larynx is sound producing organ. Larynx is sound producing organ and it is musculocartilaginous structures musculocartilaginous structures which is situated on the just ventral to laryngopharynx and the beginning of the esophagus and the beginning of esophagus. So this larynx is sound producing organ. This sound producing organ have different types of the cartilage. So it is called the musculocartilaginous structures situated between the laryngopharynx and the beginning of the esophagus. So as I told you, it has different types of the cartilage. What are those cartilage? That is epiglottis, thyroid, epiglottis cartilage, thyroid, cricoid, and the arytenoid cartilage. So in the larynx, there are four type of the cartilage, that is cricoid, epiglottis, arytenoid, and the thyroid. You see the exact position of this larynx. You see this one is the hyoid bone. This is the hyoid bone, and you see this is the stylohyoid. This is the greater corner of the hyoid bone, or you can say also the stylohyoid. So this larynx is situated in between the mandibular space and front part or anterior part of this larynx. You see this is situated in between the stylohyoid and this stylohyoid process of the this stylohyoid is also articulate with the thyroid cartilage. You see this one is the hyoid process of the temporal bone and how this stylohyoid is articulating with the temporal bone. So this larynx is situated in the mandibular space between the posterior part of the mandible and the between the two horizontal ramus of the mandible. So, as I told you, it has four type of the cartilage. You see epiglottis, thyroid, arytenoid, and the cricoid cartilage. So you have to remember this number of the cartilage, shape of the cartilage, and how it's presenting in the larynx, and what are the function of this cartilage. Now you see the representation of the cartilage, how it is situated. You see this one is the largest cartilage, this one is the larger among the all. This is the thyroid cartilage, this larger one is the thyroid cartilage. And you see this one, this is the epiglottis cartilage, this is the epiglottis. Here is the thyroid, and this one is the arytenoid cartilage, this one is the arytenoid cartilage. And you see some ring shaped structures, this is the cricoid cartilage. So this is the cricoid and the thyroid, epiglottis, and the arytenoid. So this is the four cartilage of the larynx in case of the ox. Now we will see the one by one. First is the epiglottis. Now this epiglottis is the unpaired leaf-shaped structures. You see this one is the epiglottis. This is the unpaired and the almost leaf-shaped structures and most rostral cartilage of the larynx, or you can say most anterior part of the larynx in front of the thyroid cartilage and also connected to the thyroid cartilage. You see this is the, I told you this is the thyroid cartilage. So this is the epiglottis. This epiglottis is situated just in front of the thyroid cartilage. So these epiglottis cartilage have the two part, that is the apex and the base. You see this anterior one, this one is the apex part and here is the base part. So this apex part is the short and which is slightly curved, and it is situated towards the tongue. And this posterior one, this is the base, and its this base is also slightly curved. You see this one is the base and it is also slightly curved. This curved part, it is called the petulus. This curved part of this base is called the petulus. So this epiglottis has the two part, that is the base and the apex. Base is towards the root of the tongue, whereas the apex is the towards the root of the tongue, and base that is related with the thyroid cartilage of the larynx. Okay, the tip of the epiglottis, you see this is the apex, or you can say the tip. As I told you, it is situated towards the tongue, root of the tongue. So this epiglottis has the oral surface and the pharyngeal surface. This one is the oral surface and this one is the pharyngeal surface. So its major function is the it's close the entrance of the larynx. It close the entrance of the larynx during the swallowing. So if foods are coming through the oral cavity, so by with the help of this epiglottis, it close the opening of the larynx. We will discuss later. This opening of the larynx is the called the auditus laryngeus. So during the swallowing, this epiglottis close the entrance of the auditus laryngeus, or you can say the opening of the larynx, so that food is easily passed into the okay. Next cartilage is the thyroid cartilage. You know, this is the largest cartilage. This is unpaired and the shield shape cartilage. You have to remember the shape of the cartilage, either it is paired or the unpaired. So this is the unpaired and the shield shape cartilage placed ventrally and the laterally. So this thyroid cartilage has the two part. You see this is the larger part, central part, that is the body, and this part is the lamina. This is the anterior part, posterior part. This is the lamina, and here this is the body. So this thyroid cartilage have the two part, that is called the body and the lamina. Now, if you will see the ventral aspect of the thyroid cartilage, the body is the central part of the base of the epiglottis. This is the ventral part of the thyroid cartilage, and on the ventral part of the thyroid cartilage, you will find one eminence. This is called the laryngeal prominence. This is called laryngeal prominence. This is the characteristic features of the larynx thyroid cartilage of the horse. Ox. In case of the ox, laryngeal prominence is so laryngeal prominence is situated on the ventral surface of the thyroid cartilage towards the caudal end. This is the caudal end. Here is the cranial end. Now, talking about the lamini of the thyroid cartilage. Lamini are the lateral part that show the two cornu, that is the situated on the dorsal aspect on either side. You see is the encircle area. This is the thyroid, and you see this one is the cornu, anterior cornu, and here is the posterior cornu. So this anterior cornu is the short and the straight, whereas the posterior cornu, this is the almost long, and it is curved and articulate with the cricoid cartilage. You see the cricoid cartilage, and this cartilage in the posterior cornu that articulate with the cricoid cartilage is the curve, and whereas the anterior cornu that is almost straight. Now next cartilage is the arytenoid cartilage. This arytenoid cartilage are the paired and the pyramidal in form. Now this arytenoid cartilage is situated dorsally in front of the cricoid. So you see this is the cricoid cartilage. So this arytenoid cartilage is situated just in front of the cricoid. So this cartilage, arytenoid cartilage, shows a base that is pushed backwards towards the cricoid cartilage. Here, and here is the apex. This apex have a horn-like. This is the horn-like appearance. Apex have a horn-like that is called the corniculate process. That is called the corniculate process. The base of this arytenoid cartilage, here this is the base of the arytenoid cartilage, have a process, muscular process, this crest like process that is called the muscular process, and ventral aspect of this arytenoid cartilage, this is called the focal process or the focal cord. This is the focal process or the focal cord. Now, what about the cricoid cartilage? This cricoid cartilage is also unpaired and the caudal cartilage because it is situated caudally. It is joined with the thyroid cartilage and partially covered by the laminae of the thyroid cartilage. So you have to remember this cartilage is the signet ring shape cartilage. You have to remember the shape of the cricoid cartilage. This is the signet ring shape cartilage. You see the in circle area. This one is the cricoid cartilage, almost ring shape structures. It has the white lamina. This is the lamina dorsally present, that is the lamina, and the arch. This one is the arch. So this is the arch of the cricoid cartilage. Here is the lamina of the cricoid cartilage, and the dorsal most part, crest-like structures, that is called the dorsal crest, or you can say the medial crest, that is situated on the dorsal face of the cricoid cartilage. Now, if you will talk about the cavity of the larynx, if you will open the cavity, there is three part of the cavity of the larynx. That part is called the vestibule, anteriormost part, that is the vestibule, and the middle one, this one is the rhimaglottis. Middle part is called the rhimaglottis, or you can say the glottic cleft, and this one is the posterior part. This posterior part is called the infraglottic cleft. So, if you will talk about the cavity of the larynx, you will find three zone. That is the vestibule is the anteriormost part. That is the vestibule. Middle part, that is the rhimaglottis or glottic cleft, and the posterior part, that is the infraglottic cleft. Auditus laryngeus. I told you this auditus laryngeus is a large oval aperture, that is the entrance of the larynx. That is the entrance of the cavity of the larynx. So that entrance of the cavity of the larynx is called auditus laryngeus. So vestibule, I told you this vestibule is the anteriormost part, is the laterally compressed and extend between the auditus laryngeus and the glottis. So this is the vestibule. Here, this is the auditus laryngeus. Here is the rhimaglottis. So this vestibule is situated between the auditus laryngeus and the rhimaglottis. Another part, that is the middle part, that is the rhimaglottis or the glottic cleft, is the middle and the narrowest part of the cavity, bounded either side by the vocal fold. Here you see this is the vocal fold, this is the vocal fold. So this rhimaglottis is surrounded by a vocal fold. Another part, that is the infraglottic cleft or the posterior compartment, is bounded by cricoid and the continuous with the tracheal lumen. This is the, you see this one, this part is the wide part and it continue with the lumen of the trachea. Lumen of the trachea. So this larynx produce, I told you it is the sound producing organ. So this larynx produce only a raw sound, while the laryngeal vestibule, pharynx, nasal and oral cavity, including muscles of the intrinsic muscles of the larynx, all these structures are act as a resonator, or you can say resonator, to change the character of the sound. So these are the some intrinsic muscles of the larynx, that is the cricoarytenoideus dorsalis muscle, cricoarytenoideus lateralis muscles, cricoarytenoideus transversus muscles, cricothyroideus muscles, thyrocricoideus muscles. These are the intrinsic muscles that is situated surrounding the larynx. Now first is the cricoarytenoideus muscles. This cricoarytenoideus muscles is extend between the crest of the cricoid and the muscular process of the lamina. Muscular process of the lamina. You see this one. This is the cricoarytenoideus muscles. This one. I told you this is extend from the lamina of the cricoid and the crest of this cricoid and up to the it goes up to the lower part of the arytenoid muscles and cricoid cartilage of the larynx. So it help in the it dilates the glottis and abduct the focal process and the fold. Another muscles that is the cricoarytenoideus lateralis muscles. So these cricoarytenoideus lateralis muscles extend from the anterior border and the lateral face of the upper part of the cricoid arch and to the muscular process of the arytenoid cartilage. So it extends from the cricoid arch. I told you this cricoid cartilage has the two part, that is the lamina and the arch. This lamina is the dorsal part and the arch is the lateral part. So that these cricoarytenoideus muscles attach from the lateral part of the cricoid cartilage to the muscular process of the arytenoid cartilage. Another muscles, you see this one is the lateralis cricoarytenoideus lateralis. This one, this cricoarytenoideus lateralis uh, arises from the arch of the uh, cricoid cartilage and attached to the muscular process of the arytenoid cartilage. Another is that arytenoideus transversus muscles. These arytenoideus transversus muscles extend from the dorsal face of the arytenoid and attach to the lateral border of the body of the arytenoids. So another muscles is the thyroarytenoideus muscles, name indicating its extend from the thyroid cartilage to the arytenoid cartilage. So it extends from the lamina of the thyroid cartilage to the muscular process of the arytenoid cartilage. Another muscles that is the cricothyroideus muscles, name indicating that that muscles is coming from the cricoid cartilage, or you can say the posterior border of the cricoid cartilage to the arytenoid cartilage. Its origin is the lateral surface and the posterior border of the cricoid, and its insertion is the posterior border and the adjacent medial face and the posterior corner of the thyroid cartilage. So these are the five intrinsic muscles that is the present in the larynx that play important role in the sound production. That play important role in the sound producing. Now, if you will talk about the larynx of the horse, here also four type of the cartilage, that is the epiglottis, but some differentiation from that of the ox. Here epiglottis is the long and it also leaf-like, but differentiating point is that in the base part of this epiglottis have cuneiform process. This is the cuneiform process, the elastic cuneiform process extend from the base of the epiglottis. I told you this is the base of the epiglottis and laterally upward and the backward in the vestibular fold. So it goes laterally upward and backward towards the vestibular fold. So this is the cuneiform process that is situated near the base of the epiglottis. Another is the thyroid cartilage. In case of the horse, it is the incomplete. So on the ventral side, if you will see the ventral side of the thyroid cartilage in case of the horse, that is incomplete. And the caudal thyroid notch is the very deep. Caudal thyroid notch is the very deep. And the main important thing of this cartilage is the laryngeal prominence is absent in the larynx of the horse. Whereas in case of the ox, I told you laryngeal prominence is present on the ventral surface of the larynx. Now, what about the arytenoid cartilage? Arytenoid cartilage, I told you in arytenoid cartilage there is a corniculate process and the vocal process or the muscular process also. So muscular process of the arytenoid cartilage is the very prominent. This is the muscular process, and here is the corniculate process. This corniculate process is the curve and the hook-like structures. So another important thing in case of the larynx of the horse, that is the presence of the vocalis muscles. Vocalis muscles is not present in the ox and the other species, but that is present in case of the horse. So cricoid cartilage, what about the cricoid cartilage? Cricoid cartilage is also in case of the horse, this is the ring shape, and the lamina is the wide. If you will see the larynx of the dog, it is the comparatively short, and the important thing is that the epiglottis is the somewhat quadrilateral in appearance. Epiglottis, this is the epiglottis, you see, this is somewhat quadrilateral in appearance, and petulus is slightly forward. This is the petulus is the slightly forward. If you will see the thyroid cartilage in case of the dog is the slightly higher than it is the long. You see, this is the much higher than the long, and the laryngeal prominence on the ventral side, that is the present. So laryngeal prominence in case of the ox also present, in case of the dog also present, but in case of the horse, this laryngeal prominence is absent. This is the basic differentiating point. Now, if you will see the cricoid in case of the dog, it is the wider dorsally. If you will see the arytenoid cartilage in case of the dog, this arytenoid cartilage, you see this one is the corniculate. This is the arytenoid cartilage, and this is the corniculate process of the arytenoid cartilage. This is the hook-like structures, and a small interarytenoid cartilage between the arytenoid cartilage. Between two arytenoid cartilage, there is a small cartilage that is called the interarytenoid cartilage. So this is about the laryngeal cartilage in case of the dog. Now, if you will talk about the larynx of the fall, this is the very important thing. Larynx of the fall have the very characteristic features. It has the two part. Larynx of the fall has the two part, but remaining species that has the only one part, that is the cranial part. And here, in case of the fall, there is a cranial part and the caudal part also. So cranial larynx is the made up of several types of the cartilages, mainly three types of the cartilages. That is the annular cartilage, procricoid, and the paired arytenoid cartilage. So in cranial larynx of the fall, there is unpaired annular cricoid, and the procricoid is the unpaired cartilage, whereas the arytenoid cartilage is the paired. Remaining two cartilage, that is the epiglottis and the thyroid cartilage, is absent in case of the fall. So another important features of this larynx is that there is no vocal cord. There is no vocal cord because this sound is producing in case of the fall by the caudal part of the larynx. So there is no need of the vocal cords in the cranial larynx. Now you see the picture of the cranial larynx. You see this is the trachea, and here is the lungs, and you see this is the larynx. This is the larynx, and you see this is the higher magnification of the larynx, and you see in this larynx there is arytenoid cartilage. This is the arytenoid cartilage. This arytenoid cartilage is the paired cartilage, whereas this procricoid and the cricoid cartilage, these two are the unpaired cartilage. You have to remember which cartilage is paired, which cartilage is unpaired, what is the shape of the different types of the cartilages. Okay. Now, caudal larynx, or you can say the syrinx. Syrinx is the special sound producing organ present in the birds. That is the caudal larynx or syrinx. Caudal larynx is also known as syrinx. So it is the posterior part, and it's act as a true organ of the voice. In case of the birds, syrinx is known as a true organ of the voice. It is situated at the bifurcation of the trachea into the two primary bronchi. It's involve terminal part of the trachea and beginning two primary bronchi. Now, if you will see the different types of the cartilages in the syrinx, there are mainly four types of the cartilage in the syrinx. That is the cranial cartilage, fasciculus, and intermediate cartilage, and the caudal cartilage. So if you will see the cranial cartilage, you see this one. This is the area. This is the cranial cartilage. You see the rectangular area. This area is the syrinx. This area is the called syrinx. So this one is the cranial cartilage. This cranial cartilage forming the tympanum. So inside the structures, you see this one is called the tympanum. This one is the called tympanum, and this is formed by the cranial cartilage. So this cranial cartilage forming the tympanum and the four closely opposed cartilaginous rings. So this cranial cartilage is made up of four closely opposed cartilaginous ring in the male. So in case of the male, there are four cartilaginous ring in the cranial cartilage, but in case of the female, there is only three cartilaginous ring in case of the female. They are slightly greater in diameter than the preceding tracheal ring, and their its is blended. So if you will see the diameter, so the tracheal diameter, so this tracheal diameter is the somewhat lesser than the diameter of the cartilage of the cranial cartilage of the syrinx. Okay. Another cartilage, that is the fasciculus. You see this one is the fasciculus here. This one is the fasciculus. This is the wedge shaped structures. This one is called the fasciculus. What is this fasciculus? This fasciculus is a wedge shaped structures, and it lies dorsoventrally. And its sharp cranial ears splits the lumen into the two primary bronchi. So, with the help of the fasciculus, this tracheal bronchi is divided into the two primary bronchi. Another is the intermediate or the tracheal syringeal cartilage. Intermediate cartilage. This is the intermediate cartilage. You see this one. This is the intermediate cartilage. So these intermediate cartilage are the four in number and are C-shaped cartilage. That is the C-shaped cartilage. If you will see in the cross section, so you will found this is the C-shaped cartilage, and it is about four in number, and these are the attached with the fasciculus and the ventral and the free dorsal end. So this intermediate cartilage is attached with the previous one, that is the fasciculus on the ventral end and the also the dorsal end also. Another cartilage, that is the caudal cartilage, that is also called the bronchial syringeal cartilage. This one. This is the caudal cartilage or the this one. Caudal cartilage, bronchial syringeal cartilage, or you can say the caudal cartilage. So this caudal cartilage or bronchosyringeal cartilage also have the C shape and three on each side. Here only two cartilage is showing in the intermediate, but it is four in number in case of the fall, because this picture is taken from the Turkey. So here only two intermediate cartilage is visible, but it actually four in number in case of the domestic fall. So this is about the larynx of the birds. You have to remember the cranial cartilage, caudal cartilage, and the syrinx. This is all about the larynx. Now, if you have any question, you can ask me. Any question?
No, sir.
Why?
Yes.